All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Andrew.
New year, new me.
Me too. Did you like? I tried to mix up the clap.
No, I saw the clap. But to be honest, I was a little bit thrown when you said, "Are you ready for the clap?" Because I was expecting the day to unfold very differently from there on out.
Well, look, we both know about when we turn up here. We think we're coming here for a chat, and what ends up happening is just a lot of brooding.
Talking always leads to sex.
It does. With us, it does. Yeah.
I've never had a conversation that didn't end in sex.
With me or in general?
Ever.
Okay. How did your missus feel about that? Does that get on her nerves?
She loves a chat.
What my mum doesn't like is I quite often turn Christmas songs sexual. Like, just change words, like wanking home for Christmas rather than driving home for Christmas.
Thing is, if you're stuck in that much traffic, I don't think there's anything wrong with cracking one out.
I absolutely do. Like, if I was... Just imagine being stuck in gridlock traffic on the motorway, for example.
And Chris Weir's having a wank.
And you just happen to like Chris Weir. But like anyone, and you just look over and they're just, fapping furiously.
But what about if, just picture this, right?
Dry as well.
They're knocking one out. You look over.
Are you dry or wet?
They look over. I'm naturally lubricated. I'm always naturally lubricated.
Naturally lubricated.
You don't need to think anything more into it.
What's secreting what here?
You don't need to think anything more into it.
Right, okay, anyway.
But they're knocking one out, right?
Chris Weir's in the other car.
Chris Weir's having one. You look over, and rather than like being all aggressive or disturbed, they just look at you and go, "Oh, yeah, traffic."
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah, right.
But still never takes one of the hands off.
One hand to gesture, one hand to wank.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's perfectly acceptable.
This?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
I bet it's frowned upon in your current job, though.
Little different doing it in your car than on a coach.
Yeah. When you're the trip leader, someone comes up to ask a question, and you're just go, "How can I help?"
Do you know what? Speaking of my job, I realised I broke a rule. I read a rule today.
Did you fuck another passenger?
Many, but that's actually not against the rules.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I think it's frowned upon.
Yeah, I remember like when Ash worked for them, he was like, no, they really don't like you doing that.
Yeah, they don't like it. But most people I have sex with don't like it. That's not the point.
Ironically, it's not a hard rule.
It's not a hard rule. No, I let someone touch the mic.
So sorry, someone's wanking off in the...
Yeah, Chris Rear's having a wank. I think that's fine.
Nice. And we all know what Elton John meant when he said, "Let's step into Christmas." Yeah. Goes without saying.
Attend the orgy.
It was like earlier when we've got a social engagement coming up at time of recording tomorrow.
Sure.
And I put in the group chat, "This isn't a euphemism, by the way, but can I smoke in your garden?" And yeah. Because otherwise, I genuinely feel like anything coming from me in a group chat, people I feel like...
No, that's why my first immediate response was, it's definitely a euphemism.
That's definitely an innuendo.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, darling, can I smoke in your garden?
I mean, if you say it like that and with that sinister look in your eye...
What sinister look in... But listen, there was a perfectly innocent look in my eye.
And when it comes to me and you, there's no innocent look.
There's no innocent look. You're quite right.
That's why we don't go on stag do's together anymore.
But stag do's are different.
They are different, but it just...
You can get away. Stag do's fine. Still one of my all-time goated moments on the podcast.
Oh, definitely.
Because the thing is like that has given me...
I can't remember, was that someone like writing into us?
Yeah,
it's given having me a homosexual experience.
Because their partner wouldn't, like, they were like, my partner won't let it go kind of thing, and I've already explained to her it was just a stag do.
Okay, yeah.
Like, for me, that's given me great joy many times over the years. But you can never recapture... Sex with men, or? You can never recapture the first time. The first time we read that.
Yeah.
And just it was unfolding in front of us.
It's the same as like the first time you see a great movie. Do you know what I mean? Like A Few Good Men, the scene where he breaks the general. Like you can only see that for the first time once. Or Robin Williams and his monologue to Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting.
Cap calling Mjolnir and giving the old Avengers Assemble.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can only see it once.
100%, yeah.
But yeah, for me that was up there.
You can only see Leo get let go of once. Do you know what I mean?
And if you stop right here, you can see the moment his heart breaks.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good fun.
Do you reckon that's why he only likes young women? Because women that, Kate let go of him, so he's just like, I'm letting go of all women.
Kate was quite young in that, though.
She was.
Maybe, I don't know. I think Leo's been through a lot of trauma when you look back through it.
Has he though?
Went to that beach. That didn't turn out well.
What beach?
The beach in
what the
in
film?
The in the beach.
I mean, no, I thought it was a good film.
But then he had that horrendous incident on Shutter Island.
Oh, so you think all these things?
He said, "Yeah, I think
that has got a great ending to it. By the way, Shutter Island. I think the whole way through the film, I was like, "What is the point of this?" Like, it was well acted and like the story was engaging, but
the twist makes it.
Yeah, 100%. And you're like, "Oh fuck, okay." So we just went through all of that just for that one simple moment at the end.
And then when he decides to live in the lie.
Is it Christopher Nolan by any chance?
No, it's...
it feels like a Nolan film in terms of leaving something.
I've got a feeling it's Scorsese, but I'm going to look at that.
Really? Yeah, have a little Google for us. Because it's a very well done film.
You can talk, by the way.
I know, I just sometimes like to stare at you.
Scorsese.
Okay.
Scorsese.
Because you sort of, I mean, spoilers, it's left at the end in terms of like, you could decide either way whether was still actually insane or
choosing to live in the lie,
chose to end it, sort of thing.
I quite like it. Yeah, anyway. It's good.
I like to think he knew and had just decided.
I agree. I interpret it as he knew, and he just decided that this was the better life.
What about Inception? Do you think that was a dream at the end?
I spoke to someone about Inception.
Because Christopher Nolan has said it's whatever you want it to be.
Well, this thing, I spoke to someone about Inception a couple of months ago, and I felt like a bit of a fool because I was kind of like, shit, I can't believe, because I like to think of myself, and there's no way
as an intelligent man?
Oh, as someone who's quite media literate and observant, I would say definitely not. But quite media literate.
Yeah.
And I like to think I pick up on all the subtle little things, and when things are shadowed, when things are paralleled, when there's throwbacks, all kinds of things like that. I like to think I kind of pick up on most things I see like that. But this one I was like, no, actually that's a very good, because he was saying the point for him, one of the guys I was talking to, someone at work, they were saying that for him, and I can't remember whether he said he read it in an interview or something, so I don't know whether this is him firsthand worked this out, not to do him down or anything, but he said the point is that Dom lets the totem go, that the whole movie he's been obsessed with it, and whether he's real or whether it's not, in that moment he doesn't care, it doesn't matter. He's just
happy to see his kids.
And he was like, that's the takeaway from it. And I was like, actually, that's a very interesting takeaway, and I'd never considered that.
Yeah.
So I think that's my new takeaway.
See, I still think I lean towards what I felt the first time I watched it, which was that every time we saw it was reality, or what we at least believe was reality being presented, was that it wobbled and eventually stopped.
It stopped.
And every time it was fake, it never wobbled at all.
So the fact it wobbled.
For me, but again, that could be his mind showing him what he wants to believe rather than what's actually real.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
By the way, it's a...
That wasn't on the list or anything.
No, didn't think so. Didn't think so. And I just want to show everyone that it is a new year.
Yeah.
It's a new us.
Yeah.
But all my references are still old, so I just want to bring back this classic. The fine.
Yeah, but we've got a new shiny soundbite that we've been itching to
You'll hear it at some point, I'm sure. Yeah. When I deem the moment appropriate.
You're just going to drop it in.
When
in context or just...
In context. When I think that it works in context.
Okay.
I will...
It might not get used then. I don't know.
Anyway.
Do you know what? Nothing gets you as hyped as a bit of dun 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 dun.
Yeah. It does, I can't remember where I was, but I remember I was at a really serious thing once. Or I was going to maybe I was on my way to a job interview or something. And just as I was getting there, I forgot that was in the playlist I was listening to, and it just suddenly came on in the first few notes, and I actually just laughed to myself out loud. I bet you
strutted into that interview.
Yeah, no, they said I probably shouldn't have stripped down to my pants.
Look, that was a mistake, and that's an issue you seem to continually run into. Just in churches, playgrounds.
I'm slowly learning. Left on my socks last time. I'm getting there.
Yeah. Each time it'll be an extra bit of clothing.
One layer.
You're able to just be in a playground and not take your clothes off.
Just be fully clothed. One day. That's the dream.
Speaking of playgrounds.
Excellent. Hang on.
How was Christmas?
Yes.
It's got nothing to do with playgrounds.
It was all right. It was good. It's quiet. How was your Christmas?
It was nice. I mean, it's always over too quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in the magic of Christmas, and it always makes me sad at the end of Christmas Day that it's
that's
like
fair.
all over quite quickly.
I very much enjoyed, the TV that I was looking forward to.
How was
Mostly
Doctor
came
Who?
through.
I know you were really excited.
Underwhelming.
Really? See, Leanne quite enjoyed it because she was saying like the North Star's now canon and all sorts of things.
Yeah, see, I enjoyed most of it, but I didn't like the end.
Okay.
Like, I'm not against the North Star thing. I kind of like that.
Because isn't the lady from Bridgerton?
Yeah.
Now? Is she in it going forward, or is it just for this?
And my problem is her overall arc and her end. I was just like, no, I don't feel satisfied by that writing.
Okay. Fair enough.
But lots of other parts
How
of the
do you
episode
feel
were
about
decent.
Cootie Gatwa?
Really like him. Again, I feel similar to him at the moment, at this point,
As you did for Jodie?
as I did for Jodie Whittaker.
What, the writings
Love
letting
the
them
Doctor,
down?
but God, I want to see them in the hands of... Because when you see Ncuti Gatwa in my...
But I thought Doctor Who was back in the hands of...
Russell T Davies.
Yeah.
But Russell T Davies stuck in the past. So the problem, this is my own personal opinion, is that whilst the Doctor has gone on a 20-year journey, obviously the Doctor's lived thousands of years in that time, but the Doctor's gone on a 20-year journey and has progressed as a character, has dealt with trauma, has alleviated some trauma, has addressed some trauma, all this kind of stuff. Russell T Davies is kind of like, well, I'm going to write about this though because that's what I know, and it's like, no, but that's not, the Doctor's not that person anymore.
No.
You're now undoing all the work of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And also there's this thing of, I completely understand that he's suddenly become really comfortable with the LGBT thing and that he's a big promoter of it. Understandably so. We've both discussed how important it is. But I did not like how musical the first season of Ncuti Gatwa's
Leanne
Doctor
said
is.
that she felt that agenda was being pushed quite
Heavily.
Yeah, and she said, like, again, like yourself, no issue with them doing it in general, but like it felt like a core part of
it
they were doing.
It felt like it
rather
was
than-
to the detriment of the show, not to the betterment of the show.
Yeah,
It wasn't even neutral.
which ends up being a disservice to the community.
And like I
they're
said,
trying
having
to-
loads of like gay camp characters and all that, not a problem with.
Yeah.
Having a drag queen, not a problem with. I've actually thought that was a really good character that played it really well. But the musicals, the singing, there's so much fucking singing in the first series.
Yeah,
And I'm like, Doctor Who is not a fucking musical. You need to cut that shit out
yeah,
for me. Just end it. So yeah, but when I look at Ncuti Gatwa's first series, when he did Boom, was the episode written by Stephen Moffat. And admittedly, Stephen Moffat wrote the Christmas episode, and I've just told you it's maybe not my favourite piece of work. But Boom was a fantastic episode.
yeah.
And Dot and Bubble was another episode that was a fantastic episode. But Dot and Bubble was very... That's my other issue with the first series, just while I'm on it, is that it's only an 8-episode series.
Yeah,
And they had 2 episodes back-to-back. So first of all, it's back-to-back, so it feels more noticeable. And second of all, it's 25% of your series that were very Doctor-light,
okay.
where the Doctor wasn't really in it. So there was one where the Doctor and
There was one
Ruby,
with an old lady that he was barely in. He goes like he goes missing at the first.
yeah, and Ruby progressively ages and goes
Yeah.
72 yards, 73 yards, whatever it was called.
I actually thought that was a good episode. I saw that.
No,
episode.
it was a fine
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
And like I said, Dot and Bubble, I really like the episode Dot and Bubble, but he wasn't in it a lot of the time. And what that means
Well, and
is
he is the star of the show. isn't he?
25% of your series don't have the
Your star
Doctor in it. So therefore, I don't feel the connection as much between him and the companion. So when the companion, spoiler alert, leaves at the end of the first series,
It's not.
I'm like, it's not an
They've
emotional
actually
moment.
Not
'cause
spent
I'm
that
like,
much time.
I haven't
together.
seen enough of this person to give a shit about
it's
this
not
person.
Tennant and Rose, is it? Is it Rose?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Catherine Tate.
No, or yeah. So I've got many issues with it. But one of the 2 biggest successes of the night, and we're going to work towards the biggest,
Yeah.
Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, as you can imagine,
But
I
it was
desperate to watch
fantastic.
it.
Crammed with jokes, and it's
Yeah.
one of those you can go back and watch 2 or 3 times and
Oh,
you'll
I
still get
will.
new jokes.
I will.
But it was genuinely brilliant. Everyone's a big fan of Feathers McGraw. How they managed to make that little motherfucker look so evil, I don't know.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
For some reason, the country's come round on a real anti-Wallace thing.
Which one's Wallace?
The
Is it
human.
dog? Oh, okay.
Because his dog gets put through hell, and he clearly
Yeah.
doesn't give a shit. But, you know, I love Wallace.
It's animal cruelty, mate. It's not on.
But obviously we can't really talk about that because you didn't see it.
I watched Red One.
Yeah, which is like a million times shitter than Wallace and Gromit.
It was shit, absolutely. I knew it was going to be shit when I was going to watch it, but it was like, you know, see what happens. And it's just one of those classic rock films where, like, I almost felt like they were trying to build a Christmas universe, like Krampus was in it, and it makes me wonder if genuinely he was like, look, we could
if this is a success
every year, a new Christmas film of, you know, different slant on it with new characters in this bigger universe. But it was one of those films like so much was crammed in. Like Chris Evans didn't really need to be in it, even though he was one of the main characters. It was a bit like you could remove him completely from this and we'll probably still be fine. And I like Chris Evans, and J.K. Simmons I really like, but actually as Santa Claus was a bit shit. Like he was a musty Santa Claus, and although I respect the fact J.K. Simmons has got fit and got buff, like it just, I don't know.
Didn't work.
No. And he's taking jobs away from fat people, and I don't like that.
That is a real issue.
Yeah. Like, some from the fat community should have been Santa Claus. I mean, I think we're just lucky The Rock didn't play Santa Claus, to be fair.
Imagine if that was the twist at the end.
He kills Santa and takes his job.
Yeah, a little post-credit scene where he dons the hat and just looks at the camera and gives one of those classic eyebrow raises, and then it'll be the
Can you smell
Rock
what
will
Santa's
return.
cooking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look what Santa's cooking too. Like, they write themselves.
Oh, man, yeah. The whole franchise.
That was his dream, I reckon.
I think that was his
I
dream.
mean, and to be fair, in my favourite ever Christmas film, probably Santa Claus 1, like, the way he becomes Santa is by technically murdering
murder, straight up murder.
And like a kid asks him in the film, so
I would argue manslaughter.
Yeah. But like a kid rightly points out when he's questioning him, like, so if I want to become Santa one day, I've just got to kill you. Like, get the job. So it's quite a dark.
I love that film also, by the way.
Yeah. I think all of them have a charm to them, and like I love number 3 because it's got Martin Short as Jack Frost, and there's a random musical number thrown in.
But the first one's
just for nostalgia. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think number 2's arguably a better film.
Though number one is very guilty of a point that someone pointed out to me recently, and I think I mentioned it to you, but it's all the parents in these Christmas movies where Santa's real, but they don't believe in Santa.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do you think the presents come from?
That's the magic of Santa.
They know that no one bought them presents.
Yeah, look, that's always been a flaw in the story of Santa in general. Do you know what I mean? That's always been a thing of like, I mean, my sister and her ex with Jeremy, the way they do it is you've got some the best presents are from us. The ones that cost the most are from mum and dad. And all the like stocking filler things and things like that are Santa presents, and they're labelled as such as well.
That's fair.
So, and I think that's a nice way of doing it, because Joe, otherwise it's like you're just losing all credit for the money and effort you've put into.
But it's not about credit, is it? It's about.
Well, no, but it shouldn't just be given to some fat guy that doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? He's still getting credit.
While we're just on Christmas, by the way, I recently resaw the Trump clip where he's on the phone call to the child, and it is inadvertently one of the funniest Christmas clips. He's on the phone to some kid. He's like, "And you believe in Santa or no? Because you're what are you 7 now? That's questionable, right? At that age."
The kid was like, "What I did?"
It's legit. Hang on, let me see if I can find it and send it to you, and you can play it on air.
Why do you keep making me want a pad, bro?
I don't.
We're trying to do a fucking podcast here. Do you know what I mean?
Better men would have been.
You should have had that prepared and ready.
Better men would have been. I didn't know we were going to talk about Christmas. It's 2025.
What do you mean you didn't know? We haven't seen each other since before Christmas. Which, by the way, sounds like it was ages ago, but it wasn't really.
It was like a week.
Yeah. So
right, I've sent that to you.
I have got Do Not Disturb on. But I have received your message. Right. Here we go.
Well, that's really good. And you just have a good time. Are you still a believer in Santa? Because at 7 it's marginal, right?
Like inadvertently one of the funniest Santa clips.
The thing is, only Donald Trump would neg like a 7-year-old. Do you know what I mean? To be like, oh, you're not that dumb, are you? That you still believe in Santa at 7, are you?
Someone said this to me, like a very camp gay guy said this to me, and I was like, yeah, I think you're right. He's like, it's such a shame that he's actually like evil and the face of like white nationalism and stuff.
Yeah.
Because actually, unironically, he's a fucking hilarious diva queen.
Yeah.
And he could have just been one of the funniest celebrities.
He's one of those people. He's a bit of a like social comedian.
Obviously not
if you
condoning all the sexual assault and stuff.
No, absolutely. The guy's a scumbag. Like the fact it's come out, he's gonna have to pay $5 million to this woman recently, since being elected as president. And it's like, that's what you voted for, man. And like, to me, what like it's again, this isn't something I wanted to talk about, but like I can't understand that even with how shit Kamala Harris was, I don't care if my president's falling asleep at the wheel. I still think that's preferable to having a rapist in charge. But that's my hot take on Donald Trump.
I did see someone say just quickly on the American presidential election and the changeover. I did see someone say that Joe Biden could do the funniest thing in that if he resigns and Kamala Harris gets sworn in as the 47th president, so all of their 47 merch is ruined.
Oh,
she then also, because you know the vice president has to do the handing over ceremony.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to hand over her own fucking defeat on live
has
TV.
To pick someone
so
to
she
do
gets
that
someone
for
else
her.
to do it.
That's fucking genius.
Like that would
and
be
she gets to have been president
amazing.
for a few days.
That would be incredible.
But then she can't ever run again, can she? If she does something like that.
She's not fulfilled a full term, so she can do 2 full terms.
Is that the way it works? I thought like it didn't matter. Like, say, I don't know, Donald Trump at the last month of his term resigns, like you just said, and whoever takes over, that counts as a term for them.
Yeah, I mean it might, but she can still do a term later down the line. She can still do another term. But yeah, either way, I think it would be
that job in general. To be honest,
but either way, it would be brilliant.
Like, it can't be that cool living in the White House.
It sounds quite cool.
Does it though?
But then the problem is you've got to deal with Americans.
It's not even the original White House, is it? It's Trigger's broomstick. It got burnt down. Do you know what I mean?
I love that's thesis ship in British culture, by the way. Trigger's broom.
I think you told me it years ago on the pod, and I like that. Which I still think like somewhere around. No, I think like as long as it's still. It's difficult.
That's the point. That's the point.
I'm changing my mind as I'm about to talk about it. It's almost like the door being on or off, isn't it?
I mean, amazingly, what time check, please? Time check.
What, the time or the time?
How long are we in?
About 22 minutes.
22 minutes into 2025, and we're back on the door.
Do you know what though? As much as you malign it and you take the piss out of it, oh, it's a ridiculous question.
It is.
It never fails to get people to engage with it and hotly debate it.
Well, mostly they just say, "What a stupid fucking question."
Yeah, and then they end up debating it. So like we all insult it, but end up arguing over the nuances of it.
The nuances of how stupid it is.
No, but that's the thing.
That's
like,
my stance. That's take it or leave it.
I think part of like spirituality and like an open mind is being willing to ask stupid questions and like have thought experiments and
but be prepared that if you ask a stupid question, you might not even get an answer.
Well, that's no fun.
I'm not here for fun.
This was meant to be fun, Jake.
I'm not here for fun.
This was meant to be fun. So, you went away for New Year's?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Did you have a nice New Year's? Did you see the New Year in?
Yeah, we had a wonderful moment where we were listening to radio to hear it, the countdown.
Can you press ha gay for me? Gay!
And
who sees the New Year in listening to the radio?
No, just so we had a countdown.
Right.
We literally just for that last minute.
Okay.
But as someone pointed out,
there's a delay. Because you're streaming it on your phone, I'm assuming. Yeah. There's like a 30-second delay, maybe.
Yeah. So like 2 of us were like, "Well, it's New Year. Like it's now New Year," and everyone else was like, "Shut up,
to be fair,
shut
though,
up." So then we did a countdown.
All the fireworks were going off anywhere from 5 to 1 minute before. So it was like everyone was getting the time.
So eventually we were like, "Do you know what?" And someone just went 10,
just tongue
9, 8, and we just sort of did our own countdown.
Yeah. So you were like, just French
trust
me,
me to be late to 2025. I feel like I've started as I mean to go on.
You're just being consistent.
I'm just being consistent.
Yeah, I respect that.
But we did have a nice weekend away. Yeah.
Good.
I went and met all of Lucy's friends.
There was an interesting
Lucy or
story
Sandra? What did
there.
we settle with? Lucy.
I mean, it's too late for that. We've said you've already given away her identity.
Oh, my bad.
You've pretty much doxed her. Do you know what I mean?
Classic BBC there.
What? Because they dox people.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you just wanted to use it.
I did. To be honest, I was like, if I don't now, I might not.
No. I did say to you earlier when you said you were going to use it in concerts, I don't think we're going to be talking about the BBC particularly in this episode.
Classic BBC.
Let that stop you, would you?
Just had to give you another excuse. But yeah, you did something I thought was quite interesting. You were doing some sort of event while you were away.
We did. They were doing... So they do this thing, like the bunch from they used to live together, and now every year they go away, even though they've all moved on. 3 of them kind of still live together. And they do this thing called House Christmas. So just after Christmas, they all go together, rent a house somewhere. And they have Christmas Day, where they have a full Christmas dinner, and they do a Secret Santa.
I like that.
And then they do New Year's Eve together. And one of them had organised this Taskmaster thing. And everyone had like 2-3 months to do it. And we were out at the rugby on Saturday, I want to say. And we were going away on Monday. In fact, Lucy went away on Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday. And most of them went away on Sunday. But I was like, I went to Palace and I was like, I don't really want to leave the game early to go down there. So I was like, I'll just come down the next day. Like, it's fine. It will give me a chance to pack and get started on this Taskmaster thing. So because we were at the rugby on Saturday and I said, she went, oh, unless you want to jump in on it. I was like, yeah, go on then. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
So she gave me a couple of tasks, few tasks, but to be done ahead of time. And then there were a few more when we got there, which were quite fun. So
what sort of tasks were they?
So one of them was to recreate, to create the best home movie blooper.
Okay.
So immediately we're thinking
stuff you're doing around the house that goes wrong.
Yeah, you know, what would get you that 250 quid on You've Been Framed? You know, that's where our minds went. So right, I think that was the interpretation of the task. So the boys, it was a team task. So it was me and 2 girls, and the 2 other boys did it together, and they did a thing. It was mental. They were playing football upstairs, and then they were celebrating, and then one of them slipped over, broke their arm, and then the other one slipped over them, and then as they were helping each other up, they were falling about all over the place. We downloaded an app so that you can film things, and then it's got the little timestamp and stuff, and it does the little run as if you're doing it on a video.
Yeah.
And we were putting the tree up. And I played the role of...
Where'd you get the tree from?
Tree was already up.
Oh, okay.
So we just sort of took some of the lights off and we're putting the lights on.
I'm with you.
And then we were like, oh, you know, the star, put the star on.
That's a lot of logistics to go
So I said, you know, I found the star in the little box, in the little bag, and I handed it to my partner. And I went, oh, put the star. No, not Lucy. Lucy was the taskmaster.
Oh.
So this was someone in my team.
You were cheating on Lucy.
And you know what? I made it believable. I just want to throw this out there. I made it believable because as I was rooting around.
As you handed to the star,
but you know
started fingering her.
Do you know what we called it? Because you know what the first thing the other 2 boys said when they read the task, and we were all like, I know how they're going to interpret that. They went, oh, like a home movie. And then one of them, because his partner was the taskmaster's assistant, he turned to her and genuinely went, can we use you, right? She was like, just to be very clear, in case I didn't think I'd need to settle this, you're not having sex with me on camera for the fucking sake of the task. He was like, right, well, I don't think that's real teamwork, but back to the drawing board.
Well, I mean, that's not the last time we went on to a social engagement. Your partner was all for social interaction of that kind.
So we were, anyway, I was putting the star, I said, put the star on. She was like, oh, I'm not sure how it goes.
Can you give me a lift?
And I went, oh, let me show you. You got to do it like this. And I tripped over the bag and we took the tree down.
You knocked down
We knocked down the tree. We knocked down the Christmas tree.
Wow.
And just to top it off, to keep it nice and relevant, our camera lady threw in a little, oh my Christ.
I like it.
We also had to draw, we had an hour to draw, to make a children's book for adults.
Yeah.
So that was quite fun.
You also snuck into a woman's bedroom.
Yeah, but I don't think that had anything to do with the... No, okay, so one of the tasks, and this is the one, the meaty one you want to get into, was do the most daring thing.
Yeah.
And I just panicked. I let the intrusive thoughts win.
You're like, let me go back to what I know.
It's like sexual assault is daring. Everyone knows that.
And the things you're not actually going to do it, it's just the implication.
No, so the taskmaster assistant is one of my partner's best friends, and I was like, I'm just going to go in her room. and just take a bit of jewellery off the side and then give it back to her during the task.
Yeah.
And it went down well. It went down fine.
Okay, good. That genuinely though, nowadays, I mean, from what I've met your missus a couple of times. She seems really like, up for a laugh, to be fair. So I'm sure her friends would be of a similar vein. So I remember you texting me. You were like, and it was after the fact.
I sent a few people a text because I just suddenly felt really guilty because I was like, I literally met this woman.
I'm going to be 100% honest. There is a chance that this person doesn't like it.
I've literally met this woman for the first time in my life on Saturday, and on Monday I've snuck into her bedroom and robbed her.
And I said to you, there is like a technically like sinister tone you could take from that, but no, luckily in the spirit of the game.
I did enjoy one of the entrants. She filmed herself at a train station, right in front of the "Do Not Stand in front of the yellow line," and then stepped in front of the yellow line quite playfully. Which I must admit,
would have made it better though, is if like some random conductor out of nowhere
had come across,
speared her. Back over the yellow line. I'm feeling really silly today.
One of the contestants, I came just to give you a clue. I got 3 points for that task.
Really?
Yes.
That's out of a maximum of 5.
Yeah. So 4 points went to the woman who quit her job and started a new job, which we all argued she'd have done anyway.
Yeah.
But Lucy, my partner,
is that what she did for the task?
She submitted evidence of it for
Right, okay.
She took a picture of herself handing in her resignation and stuff, and I was like, we were like,
1 point.
She'd done it, but my partner was like,
good taskmaster.
My partner was like, no, that's actually like I know her really well, and that's a really big deal for her. And I was like, fine, fucking hell.
The taskmaster's meant to be impartial.
And then we watched a video of Will, who got 5 points. So he's with his mate, and his mate's like, I dare you to jump over that, the little bike rack thing. So he like jumped over. He's like, parkour. And then they're walking along. He's like, I dare you to stand on that bench. And he's like, yeah, parkour. And then he's like, I dare you to have some shots. So he drinks some shots. And then he dares him to play Knockdown Ginger on some house. And we were all like, fucking brilliant. And do you know what? He'd have probably won it for Knockdown Ginger. If not for 5 points, at least 4. And then he actually got a fucking tattoo on his arse.
Nice.
That said House Christmas, had the Taskmaster logo, champion.
It's daring.
And his plan is...
I would argue getting it on your arse is less daring. I would have taken points off.
Well, my favourite comment for sure was as we were watching it unfold, one of the guys said, oh, you don't put a bumper sticker on a Rolls Royce. But he was like, because we were like, well, what happens if you don't win? And he went, I'm going to go and get it. I'm going to get a line through it. And then whatever place I did finish. So he's now got to, no, he finished 3rd. So he's now got to go back and get it crossed out with 3rd place.
Yeah.
But fair enough. It was worth the full 5 points.
Yeah.
Like, a tattoo is fucking commitment.
Yeah.
And I just want to be clear, this was his first tattoo.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair play.
So give him the dues. I can't knock that. I don't mind losing to that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you're not beating that really, are you?
No chance.
No
chance. How was your New Year?
Yeah, it was alright, mate. Didn't really do anything.
Chilled.
It's just chilled out. Yeah. Put Leanne to bed at like 11 o'clock and then at 12 woke her up, gave her a kiss, put her back to sleep.
Fair.
But yeah, no, pretty chilled out to be fair, mate. Honestly,
it's not a thing ananymore.
I overheard and I remember I used to make such a big deal out of New Year's Eve. I always wanted it to be a big night, and I remember us paying to go to Lloyd's in Croydon on New Year's Eve, just because we knew it and it was close to a KFC.
Yeah, I mean KFC is the one,
and we had to pay for the privilege as well.
Oh, it reminds me actually, I need to complain to Uber Eats later.
Why?
We had a curry last night.
Right.
And first of all, it took an hour and a half to turn up.
Yeah.
Now, I accept it's a busy night of the year. A lot of people have been out the night before and they just want a chilled one on the first. But when it did eventually, I had to ring them and they were like, oh, yeah, and I do that thing. Yeah, delivery driver's just left. He's on his way. And you're like, okay, mate. Got my order wrong. I still ate it, but...
To be honest with you, I don't ever use Uber Eats or Deliveroo.
You just call?
No, I
Just
use
Eat.
Just Eat usually, to be honest, and that's it. Because I've had similar issues to you, and I've had times where they've refused to give a refund, despite the fact you've sent them a photo of the issue and it's not your fault, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, say it was a McDonald's order." They'd be like, "Oh, it's McDonald's fault, not ours, so we're not reimbursing it." And it's like, that's not how this is supposed to work. And I wouldn't
you
mind.
reimburse me, and then you go and get your money back from
And I
them.
wouldn't mind, but Uber is like a huge company that can afford.
Yeah,
to,
notoriously scummy though.
Yeah, so I just, on principle, I had too many issues using them, and like the service was getting more expensive. How much people were charging on there for the stuff, and then the charges they put on at the end, and then they have the audacity to ask you to tip the delivery driver, despite the fact you've already spent a £5 on paying to
Get it?
just order.
Yeah.
And before, it used to be if you ordered a certain amount, you didn't pay anything. So, whereas now it doesn't matter how much you spend unless you pay a monthly fee.
On Just Eat or
Yeah, whereas on Just Eat, most of the time you don't have to worry about it.
it will.
So,
Most
you
restaurants
have
will
to
offer
pay
you
like transaction fees, and I still think that takes the piss. I think it's like 10 to 15% of every order, no matter how much the order is. So, but yeah.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Sorry.
But no, New Year's was good. I didn't watch the fireworks. I think I just watched random stuff.
I don't think they do
YouTube.
fireworks anymore, do they? Drones, isn't it now?
Oh, is it? Yeah, well, I didn't see the drone show. I saw that, like, some of the China one, I think it was, and they're like a dragon, and it looks sick, to be fair.
I must admit, our drones look better. You can do more with a drone.
Oh yeah, totally, and it's like better for the environment as well, and for the people viewing it. They're not breathing in like shitloads of fumes.
Little bits of fucking burnt out things falling on their
Oh,
heads.
like one year when we went to the fireworks this round here, like all of us got something in our eyes. So yeah, fuck
Fun
that.
times.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because I texted you about, was Gareth Southgate is becoming Sir Gareth Southgate.
England national manager.
King.
Former England national manager.
King.
Yeah, sure. Anyway.
Why is he? I don't get it. Like, they said it for services to the Football Association. It's like, what services?
I don't know.
Like, I genuinely overall,
I have no answer.
I see him as a failure overall, to be honest. Like, when everyone goes, all of his achievements, I was like, what achievements? He achieved nothing. And like, even like the stuff you've argued in the past, and I agreed with, like, I think he did for a while, change the perception
It's
of
not-
the England team
I'm
and
gonna
made it
look back
something
now.
players wanted to go and do. But even by the end, from what I've heard recently, that had gone away because he'd pissed a lot of the players off lying about Ben White.
I'm going to look this up now because I think it's not uncommon for England managers to be knighted.
Really?
Yeah. Look it up.
Well, the thing is, we've not had a British manager for a while before Southgate, other than Allardyce, but he lasted 5 minutes because of the naughty shake or the fake shake.
So you've got... I'm going to have to actually look at them. This is going to piss me right the fuck off. Do you know what? I'm not doing it. Fuck it. I'm not doing the research on it.
Do you want to hear? I've got a surprise for you. What our football correspondent Ash thinks about the subject.
Oh, I've got a feeling I might have an idea.
When I knew I was going to talk to you about it, I dropped him a message and was like, "Do you want to do us a little voice note, just saying what you think about Southgate being knighted?"
I've got a rough
and
idea.
I can't tell you. I thought I might have to wait till the next day to get that. Within 5 minutes, I had a voice
No
note.
shot. It's passion.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, mate. I don't really get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, yeah, he changed the England squad around and he made us hope again and he made us get to a couple of finals and semi-finals, which we haven't done in God knows how long. But at the end of the day, he should have won at least one of those tournaments, if not two. And I don't get it. I'm not sure why he deserves it. Like, his contribution to football? I mean, he's got a bigger contribution to fashion with the waistcoat. Like, he still failed. He still did as good as all the other managers before him. He still won nothing in a team that should have won something. Especially I'll never forgive him for the Italy game at Wembley in the Euros. That was the one that got away. He should have won that one. No excuses. But there you go. Who am I? I'm just a football correspondent. But yeah, if Keir Starmer wants to give him a trophy, knighthood, let him. Not my problem.
I love the way he sums that up at the end. Just, oh, well, who the fuck
Not
am
my
I?
problem.
Not my problem. Which is a great attitude to have.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of with you guys. I don't fully get it. I'm wondering, because looking at the fact that Bobby Robson was the last England manager to be knighted for his role in. I'm wondering
I don't think
whether
Keegan wasn't, was he? Glenn Hoddle definitely wasn't. And they're like, and then Steve McLaren, no.
I'm just wondering whether
Hodgson,
there's a
no.
certain point you can reach in a tournament that automatically qualifies you. So
What,
obviously,
like if
Bobby
you get
Robson
to a
had a certain
final?
level of success in Italia 90.
Well, I don't know what they got to then because I wasn't.
It was either the final or the semi-final. I'm going to have to look it up now.
Surely
England.
a semi-final isn't enough to become a Knight of the Realm. England isn't that bad, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we lost in the semis to Germany on penalties.
I mean, like, look, Sir Bobby was a fantastic person. Everything I've heard about him as, like, a bloke and a coach, like, he's spoken of very, very highly.
Just to be like, because we want to talk about, and that team was a great team when you look at the players that were in
like
it. Gascoigne at his height, and it was him getting booked in the semis that meant he wouldn't make the final.
With Gascoigne, you have to add back in that he was, like, no matter how good he was doing that as an alcoholic. Like, imagine what he could have been if he'd have been clean during his prime.
You've got Brian Robson,
I mean?
you've got Lineker, who's just won the Golden Boot.
Yeah,
in the last
but Lineker
tournament.
would tell you himself that he wasn't as good a player as he was.
But look again at the tournament results.
Yeah.
For England in Italia 90. Group stages, 1-1 draw with Ireland, classic England at a tournament.
Yeah,
classic first match, beatable opponents, would be embarrassing to lose, drag out a draw.
Yeah.
Netherlands, decent opponents, 0-0 draw. Respectable point. Final group game, 1-0 win over Egypt. Again, just scrape through the group. Do you know what I mean? Very beatable opponent, but you somehow make it through. Beat Belgium. Belgium aren't the team they are now. They didn't have the De Bruynes and the companies and whatever else. 3-2 against Cameroon in the quarters. And then lost on penalties to West Germany. And lost to Italy in the third place playoffs. So once we played some decent teams, it's sort of in the England DNA.
No, look, the argument I've never made is that Gareth Southgate's at fault for the entire history of the England national team. And he has just followed in the footsteps of a lot of managers that have been in charge of the England national team. But I don't know, the one thing I would say, right, is he was a good servant to the FA. He did a very good job of representing our nation as an ambassador to the rest of the world. He never really put a foot wrong in terms of, like, there was no gaffes, there was no slips of the tongue. The only real black mark against his record is the way he handled the Ben White thing in terms of, like, his conduct. But even that, people could probably argue the other way.
Yeah, and we don't know the full story.
No, totally. But from what I have heard, he basically just, from the get-go, backed his man, which was his coach.
Who else? There was someone else in the New Year's honours list.
Sadiq Khan.
Sadiq Khan. Which the thing is, like, he riles a lot of people, but he is actually an incredibly successful.
Is he the longest serving London mayor for quite a long time?
There's only been like 3 mayors, but
okay, fair enough. But that is an achievement, though.
Yeah, and also he's put himself forward, because I read this in relation to the New Year's Honours List thing. He's put himself forward for 9 elections, 3 as an MP, 3 as a councillor, and then 3 as London mayor, and he's won 9 elections.
Yeah.
So whatever you think of him,
he wins elections.
He's popular enough to.
We probably talked about this before, but while we're talking about him, could you see him as a future Labour leader? I know he'd have to be an MP again, obviously.
No.
No, really? Is that because he's Muslim, or you just don't think he's what they'd be looking for?
I think, particularly with Labour at the moment, where they're obviously trying to pander to the right-wing vote.
He's too left-wing in comparison.
And also,
I mean, imagine the good someone like that
even
could
though
do.
It was started before him, he simply expanded upon it and sort of changed the game.
Branch has been,
And that a lot of the funding during a Conservative government, a lot of the funding to London
was contingent
on rolling out the ULEZ expansion. He will always have ULEZ around his neck in the eyes of the voters, and I genuinely think, even though that only affects Londoners, you'll have all the people like around. Even though the farming thing only affects farmers, it's quite easy to drum up support. And equally, there's one thing the UK has a lot of, it's motorists.
Well, and the problem is the context of like.
I think it'll always ring around his neck.
That being the narrative that's being pushed is the fact that the media is still heavily right-leaning in this country. Like all the newspapers, by and large, lean right. So that's why they portray it in that way. But in terms of like Sadiq Khan, I just think he's a good bloke. I can understand why he's been knighted. I think he's done a good job as London mayor. I think he represents himself really well. And he's got a good sense of humour. Like he did an interview with an American political commentator called Hassan Minhaj, who I really like as well. And it's actually a really good interview. I'd recommend people watch it because it shows he's got a sense of humour. And actually, the one thing I'd give him credit for, right, is not many politicians would show up to do a weekly hour phone-in with James O'Brien.
No, not many thought at all.
In fact, no one else does it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the credit I would give him is that he's willing to face tough questions. He might not always have the right answers, but
but he's willing to put himself in the fire. He's accountable.
And James O'Brien will say to him live on air, like, and don't worry, next week when he's on, I'm going to be asking him what he's done about this, and he does. So, and like, that's a level of accountability not many politicians
and also,
actually hold themselves
with
to.
Sadiq Khan, whilst he is guilty sometimes of, towing the party line, he doesn't always. He's not just like he will answer questions.
Well, and he's been quite vocally.
He'll dodge some. Don't get me wrong, but
of Palestine,
yeah,
for example, and not many. Like, I saw something quite worrying. That David Lammy, for example, before he became Foreign Secretary, before Labour rule,
really slagged. Yeah,
very much pro-Palestine, anti-Donald Trump, all these sort of things. Since being elected and getting the position of Foreign Secretary, has received an 80 grand donation from a pro-Israel lobby, and the first vote on the ceasefire he abstained from. So that's a complete 180 for 80 grand, sold his principles and ideals. So like the thing is, the reason I'm saying this is because we were always very, very, very vocal about the corruption and bullshit we saw from the Conservatives. So when I see it in Labour, I'm absolutely going to do
of course you're going to call it out.
Like Keir Starmer has also received money from pro-Israel lobbyists. So you can't, like, they are compromised. So
other people on the list as well.
Yeah.
So another one. So there are 4.
Stephen Fry's been knighted.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, there are 4 former sub-postmasters who are getting OBEs
to
their service for justice, which I think is absolutely right, absolutely. And I wouldn't be against seeing them go further on the honours list.
Totally. I think the honours list in general, it's probably something we've talked about
outdated
before, is outdated and broken. But for genuine
working class people,
it can be a real thing for them, and I don't begrudge anyone from that situation.
Well, I'm glad. In fact, we'll talk about Stephen Fry, and then I'll ask you the same question I think I've asked you before. But it's Stephen Fry. What do you make about Stephen Fry on the list?
I love it. I'm a big Stephen Fry fan.
See, I'm not.
Is it because of the stuff that he's been accused of saying about LGBT? I know he said some really insensitive stuff about sexual assault victims. I saw that recently.
Yeah, it feels like he's very much, in terms of the gay thing and the LGBT thing, it feels very much like he's got his foot in the door and pulled the ladder up behind him with some of his comments in the last few years.
Yeah, I can see that. The only thing I saw recently that I wasn't, and I don't know whether I missed it when I listened to it, but I saw he was getting a lot of hate for an appearance on trigonometry. But the clip I saw, I didn't hear that in the podcast, if that makes sense. I didn't see that moment. So
was it his blaming for who he blamed for the rise of the right?
No, that was in there. But the bit he was being accused of saying about trans people, I didn't hear in there. Because when I listened to him talk about trans people, the way he worded it, I was like, I don't necessarily disagree with anything he said there. Whereas the clip I saw online, I was like, oh, that doesn't look good. But I didn't see that in the podcast.
Yeah, because again, some of his stuff on that, and I think it's come about more than anything because of his support of J.K. Rowling. And it's like...
The thing is,
know.
The only thing I would say in his defence on that would be if you've got a close personal relationship with someone and I don't know what conversations they've had about it. I imagine they will have. I don't know, like it's difficult to just cut someone out of your life if you think you know where they're coming from.
No, and I get that, but you can still, like, if you had a silly opinion, in my view, that was a silly opinion, I wouldn't necessarily be like, I'm cutting you.
I think we fundamentally disagree on things like COVID, for example.
Yeah.
But we don't disown each other over it.
But if someone asks me about, like, if you came out with something that I thought was particularly, like, let's say, homophobic.
Yeah.
And someone asked me about it, and you were getting piled on online, I might say, look, I don't agree with his views on those issues, and I'd explain my own views, and I'd say, but equally, it's very difficult to watch a friend go through this time, and I wish people would be a bit kinder on him. You know, I'd say something along the lines of, you know, maybe, you know, I'd sort of quote yourself on it, and that the way to change someone's mind is not through violent attacks, it's through
understanding
and
having a conversation, yeah.
But I wouldn't defend your opinions, even if I was defending you.
No, and I don't. No, that's fair. That's fair. If anything, I think I'd probably...
And you wouldn't do the same?
No, I think if I was to defend your opinion, it would be your right to have that opinion, not necessarily the opinion itself. Depending on how damaging the opinion
Yeah, imagine
was.
I'd said something like insanely misogynistic.
Then yeah, I probably wouldn't like respect your right to have that opinion. But the thing is, for us, it's difficult because our relationship, a big part of it is having these conversations on a podcast and hashing things out, whereas that's not that situation. And I feel like one of the problems in the modern age is that a clip of Stephen Fry will be thrown around, but people won't go and watch that episode to see what he actually said and what his overall tone to what he... Because if you listen to it, what I heard from what he was saying on the podcast, not the clip, was one of sympathy for transgender people, that he can't imagine what it is they must be going through, and that actually they should be supported and looked after and things like that. So, like, do you know what I mean?
I saw him talking about going back a few years now. It might even been before COVID, but it was definitely around the time my opinion on him was waning. And I saw a clip of him talking about campaigns, like various pro-LGBT campaigns, predominantly rainbow campaigns and stuff. And he kind of was like, oh, it's a bit too much. It's a bit too over the top. I think we need to, you know, stop making a fuss. We need to just sort of shut up and get on with it, kind of thing.
Could that more be like the way, and this isn't excusing if he's had unfair opinions, but I would probably argue, one, he comes from a very different generation, and in context of being gay, his relationship to being gay, do you know what I mean?
100%. Well, I was about to say,
his generation might have the opinion of, well, you know, we just sort of ground down society over time. We were there, we were slowly pushing do you know what I mean? That might be where he's coming from.
And that's not how it happened. We know that historically. But I think genuinely, and I think a lot of people have, you see it in, like you said, particularly in people of a certain age, I do think there are a certain generation of mostly gay men, but gay people who have a lot of internalized homophobia, and so obviously they're at odds with themselves, they're at odds with society, and there's a kind of almost shame. And
it must be hard because that's been caused by the society that was surrounded by it.
And every time, and it's sad.
So then it must be sad. I reckon it might even be a bit chip on the shoulder in the sense of they're seeing these other things being embraced more and more, whether it's trans or being gender fluid, whatever it might be, and they see these things being more and more supported and more widely accepted. It might, to a degree, even subconsciously, grate on them that, like, why couldn't we have that? Why?
Yeah, and they're not, and also they're not seeing the day-to-day struggles of these people.
Well, no, of course not. No.
They're just like you said. They might
Yeah.
just see, oh, there's another fucking person on
Like
TV
I said to you, I
who's
can't
non-binary or
possibly
whatever.
understand how a trans person feels. I haven't lived that. I can't put myself in their shoes. Do you know what I mean?
But they see another, they look at TV, watch TV, and they go, another non-binary person. They go, these people are everywhere. Back when I was growing up gay, there was no gay people on TV, no out gay people on TV. It's like,
yeah. But I'd also
So,
argue
yeah, no doubt,
sometimes
it's
with someone
sad.
like Stephen Fry, for example, I wonder whether we add too much weight to the words rather than what he might do in action. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if he met a trans person, and especially perhaps one that was struggling, I can't imagine Stephen Fry would be anything except nice to that person. I don't think he
I'd
would.
like to hope so.
But I don't think he's ever given I don't get the impression from someone like him that he would do anything except other than actually be outwardly accepting to someone like that. He might have a difference of opinion in terms of how they go about things, rightly or wrongly, but I don't know, that's just the vibe I get.
When I see Fry, I genuinely, and this is just my opinion, I genuinely see someone who I think has got internalised homophobia.
He probably does. I mean, I know he's a manic depressive as well, isn't he?
And and he's had his issues and he's got his issues, but
And
he's
substance abuse.
he's
issues
someone
in
who
the
comes
past.
across as, despite someone who's, I don't know whether he's out gay now. I think he was identifying as bisexual at one point.
Oh no, I think he's. I've always just. I don't know. I
but
just thought he was accepted.
strikes me as someone-
a gay man.
Some of the things he says sometimes on gay issues and on gay rights, obviously more pertinently because the whole office, and I still don't understand why they've made trans the centre of the latest culture war. I don't get it at all. But
If I was to guess, I would probably say it's because people tend to be afraid of what they don't understand. Because
there's something people don't understand
it,
because there's only 0.01% of the
but
population
then
or something.
the media and politicians go, oh, cool, this is something that we actually don't know a lot about, that we can put a lot on because we don't
And
know
no
a
one's
lot.
going to figure it out because
100%.
0.01%
I
of the
think that's
population
what
is
it
trans.
is.
No one's going to meet trans
And then
people.
because there's people out there that will just eat that shit up. Like I watched a clip of James O'Brien talking to someone who believed a post where they'd spelt Sharia law, Shakira law, and he actually believed that Sadiq Khan was rolling out Shakira law across London. And he phoned up a national radio station to back that as a thing. And James O'Brien found it, showed him it was ridiculous, and the guy still went, yeah, but I still believe it. So, like, we know people are going to... So I think that's what it is.
But obviously, anyway, because that's such a hot issue, his views on that. But I hear his views on gay rights and stuff like that. And they're just a little at odds. They're not something I expect a gay person to say.
No, I can understand that.
So
I think
it
that's
screams internalised homophobia.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with you. I think that probably is exactly what he's going through. And I think that just, like, he's not a perfect human being. Like,
no, of course not.
I'm all for education rather than, like, ridiculing. Like, I would absolutely have him on this podcast and talk to him. And I think, if we were big enough, by the way, but, like, I think he would have that conversation with you.
I'd hope so. I'd like to think so.
I would recommend watching the trigonometry episode. I know Constantine and I can't remember the other guy's name. They're quite controversial, and I wouldn't say I agree with them on a lot of things. But what I like doing is listening to them talk to people, and they tend to be quite open discussions, and I hear other opinions that I wouldn't necessarily think of or believe in myself. And I just find it interesting hearing other people's.
But on the New Year's Honours list,
yeah.
to bring it back, I know we've said this
Do
before.
you know we're at an hour now, by the way? I just looked down. How the fuck have we got to an hour?
Would you accept one?
I think we've talked about this before.
But now it's different because I don't think we've had this conversation since the Queen died.
I think I'd be less into it now. I could, unless...
If you'd have asked me before...
I couldn't honestly answer that question until I'd been offered it properly. I'd like to think I'd be less likely to now.
I genuinely think before this episode, my view was, if I had to guess which way you were going to go...
It would be our take.
Guess the reason I said was that with the Queen alive, you'd have taken one from the Queen.
Yeah,
but
probably.
Now that it's Charles,
yeah.
I don't know whether you still would.
No, I think I'd find it more silly now. Absolutely, yeah. And unless I'd done something incredible, like saved loads, like I happened to be in the middle of a terrorist event and I managed to save some people, and they were like, "Knight that man" or something like that. That I'd probably take it for, because I'd be like, "Do you know what?
I do deserve that."
Yeah. But if it was just because, say, for example, we blew up and the pod got famous and we did a little bit of charity work and we gave money to the right causes and things like that, I'd probably not. No.
Fair.
But yeah, like there's probably still a point like, yeah, I'd like to be Sir Andrew Scott, just because I don't know, it's the nonsense we've grown up with. Do you know what I mean? And as we said, when you come from a working class background, it feels like those things
feels like you've
mean
reached
something.
a title. Yeah.
And then you hear Charlotte Owens and Stephen Bailey are fucking lords, and Martin Lewis can't get a job in the House of Lords, and you're like, none of it means anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it means something to the people it means something to, if that makes sense. So
100%.
like, I wouldn't begrudge those postmasters being knighted or
they've earned it.
100%.
I mean, they only get an OBEs, but they've earned a knighthood.
The amount those
and
people suffered and the work they would have put in to keep the fight going for this long.
And I would be, and he's probably been offered one and declined it, but I would be inclined to give one to Ian Hislop, whose work at Private Eye continues to break stories like that. Private Eye are often the first.
And you know what I like about him is I didn't do anything. I just wrote about it. Like they've done the hard work. I just wrote about it.
Like Private Eye are often the first to talk about stories like that. When you look back at all these big stories and certain celebrities when it comes out that they've been involved in scandals and stuff, Private Eye have usually been writing about it months, if not years, before all the other major publications picked up on it.
What I like about him is that he comes across as one of those people that if you came up to him and said, I'm a big fan, he wouldn't like it in the sense of he wouldn't understand why you're a big fan. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just a journalist. I'm not. Do you know what I mean? That's just the
I write things and sometimes they happen to be funny. That's nothing.
That's it. But yeah. So no, I agree. I like him.
Anyway, I've got something to ask you.
Please do.
Because 2024 was a seminal year for us.
Yes.
As a podcast.
Yeah.
Changed the dynamic. We changed the system. And I want to do a little bit of a year in review.
Okay.
And I just want to talk to you about how you found it. So, for example, what was it like? Just take it all the way back. So I believe the first guest was Alex.
Yeah.
Was the first guest host. So what was it like for you sitting down here with Alex without me for the first time?
I was really nervous. Genuinely. I think with each guest, the first time I had them on my own, I was genuinely nervous. The most nervous one was Alan, just because we hadn't had him on at all. And it's more like, and I think we talked about it in private and on the pod in terms of like, we can be a foil for one another. Like if there's a dry moment and you've got someone here, quite often you'd come out with something and then you can sort of just go off of it from there. And even when it's just the two of us, we do that as well. So it was genuinely a thing of like, I know I can like talk to someone and ask questions, but I don't know if there's going to be any chemistry and then obviously Alex I've known since nursery. Like I've known him a long, long time. So of course I can sit and have a chat with Alex and have
and say with your sister.
Yeah, and absolutely. So the chemistry's there. And Alan, again, I've known him since infant school. So, like, of course I'm going to be able to talk to him. And Lil as well, I've known for a very long time. I've been on holiday with him and his family. So, like, yeah, of course, once you get into it, and ultimately you are just having a chat. Do you know what I mean? So, no, yeah, I was very, very nervous at first. But now I'm, like, more all right with it, to be honest.
And what was it like after doing a couple of guest episodes the first time I came back?
I think I was nervous for that as well. But then it's like riding a bike, isn't it? Like whenever we've taken a break, every time I've been like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And then you just sit and have a chat, don't you? So
like putting on a glove. Not the OJ style,
no,
like a regular glove.
Although that is a very bad-ass way to put on a glove, to get yourself acquitted. Do you know? The glove does not fit.
You must acquit.
So yeah, like, what about for you though? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think I've spoke about it when we first did it, but I was like,
has it been weird listening to the pod and you not being on it?
Yeah, the first one was weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't as weird as I thought it was going to be, but I was very upset in that I was like, oh, annoyingly it's good. And do you know what I mean? Like, because as much as I love you guys and I want it to be a success, I want there to be something lacking. So that when I come back, it's like, oh, there it is. Now it's, but you know, that wasn't the case at all. You managed to carry it very well, and all the conversations are very interesting and diverse because you've got different people on. But
well, I tried to make sure, like, and Alex would take the piss out of it, like, you always ask me about Palace, and it's like, yeah, because that's something we share and we can talk about, and it's something you're interested in. So I tried to I didn't ask him about politics because I was like, Alex isn't into politics.
Ask him about planes.
Yeah.
Tell him to get his little plane app out and go, what's flying above us now, Al?
Yeah. So yeah, that's just all I tried to do. Was just try and tailor it to the person.
And I was a little bit like, I don't know about upset, because it's really odd, because I was the one that made the decision to take a job that would take me away for long periods of time. I was the one that made the decision selfishly, and I wanted to have my cake and eat it. Yeah, and I recognised that really early on, that was selfish, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But it was, there did have to be a compromise, because it was like, look, I can't selfishly fuck off for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And then expect you to just drop it all and then pick it up whenever I am back to suit me. But at the same time, which is why I sort of quite early on said I would only feel comfortable with it if it was a different person each time. Because if it was someone came in and just did the job, I would feel like I was being replaced.
That's fair.
But because it's a different person, and because it's been a nice spread, I think you did 3 with Alex, 2 with Lil, 2 with Joe, 1 with Alan. So I think my numbers might be a little bit off, but that's a nice spread. There's not been one person that's been clearly...
Yeah. To be fair, it's got closer to Alex each time, because bless him, every time I ask
he's
him, he's available.
Yeah.
And that's not a dig at anyone.
No, he's down for
Everyone's
shit.
just busy.
That's the problem with
people
that.
have lives,
and also Al's up for stuff.
Lil's married and he's got
expecting a child.
He's got a busy life, so I don't expect him to be available every week. Alan again,
he won't
very
be.
busy.
Do you know what? I reckon give it a year and he'll be so desperate to get away from the child.
He'll want to be
like,
on every week. Yeah.
You got room for me
and
this week?
Joe's got kids and she manages a business, and so people aren't available every week.
It's tough.
And there's also been a couple of weeks where I've been like, do you know what? I just don't fancy it this week.
And I think that's fair.
And there might be a case of this year. I'm going to try and make a career change and work full time again, because I haven't worked full time for a while. And me and Liam want to try and move in together, so I need to be earning more money. So there might be a case of I can't do it as much going forward, which is fine because you're going to be away still. So it's just a case of
lining up is going to be tougher.
Yeah,
tougher than ever.
We'll just see how it happens, and we'll just have to be relaxed about it. And do you know what I mean? And obviously, my dream would be for the podcast to take off. I don't think it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Every year it might. It could.
And there is a part of me that I want it to grow, and I keep waiting for that one clip that's just going to do a minute. Do you know what I mean? And if for whatever reason we ever stopped, there'd be a part of me what if we just continued for another month and you'd got that clip? And do you know what I mean? So there's.
But was it easy?
And also, it would feel weird to stop doing this now.
Definitely. I was thinking this upstairs, right? Because I think every time I have a moment of doubt about it and about the whole thing, I kind of have to just remind myself. I know this sounds really pretentious and high-footed and all this stuff and that. High-footed, highfalutin and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, we are, in a way, making a form of art. Yeah. And it's like, with anything like that, you don't do it for success. You do it because you like doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
And look, our numbers are decent. We've both always said, we're quite happy with the numbers.
Actually, there's a podcast that I really like that does really badly, that's got 2 really funny people on it. One's a professional comedian, and it's not getting that much more than we are. So that's something that I'm like,
it reassures you.
They are obviously underperforming, but it makes me feel better knowing that there's really talented people out there that are underperforming. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And the problem is, we knew from the beginning, the number one thing when I was looking into podcasting was have a niche, and we never wanted to do that. No, we never wanted a niche. It was not our thing. Unless you are a celebrity, and even then, a lot of these celebrities, even Jay Zacaster, their one is surrounding food. Do you know what I mean? So Rob Beckett and Josh Whittaker, it's parenting. There's always a niche that they're leaning into. And we're not celebrities and we're not leaning into a niche, so that was always
it always was uphill. But
and we're left leaning, which means we're going to be even more unpopular.
the vocarati.
Yeah, totally.
No, but every time I think about have those moments of self doubt, I genuinely just think, do I enjoy doing it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's keep doing it.
And I can honestly say there's been episodes we've done where I've been dreading doing it. Just I'm in a bad place, I don't want to do it. And as soon as it's over, I'm like, do you know what? I'm really glad we did that. I love it every time. And even today, I was like, I haven't got that much prep. We've easily done an hour. The last time I looked at the clock, it was 20 minutes when you asked me, and the next thing I knew, it had been an hour.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy doing this. I have enjoyed the experience of having other people on it. I was like, oh, okay, it's cool, so I can do that. Do you know what I mean? I can have a conversation with other people.
Well done, you.
But I genuinely think, no matter how long this went on for and how successful it was or whatever, I would feel that nervous for every single guest we'd ever have on. Because unless I'd met them before, and even if I had met them before, I feel that nervous. Cause
you were worried that you'd be sitting there and it'd be like...
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And that's why I've always tried to over-prepare for an episode in terms of talking points. And there's so many episodes where afterwards I'm like, we didn't talk about that. Then there's loads
I know,
today.
I'm always 50-50 on that, because if I find I've got a lot of notes, I know I'll just get annoyed at the end because we haven't got through any of them.
No, see, I like that because it means some of them aren't like time-dependent subjects, if that makes sense. So like there's a few in there that I could be like, oh yeah, we can talk about that next week or whenever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I've got like 2 things that I wasn't necessarily planning on talking about today, but I've just got bookmarked for us to talk about.
Yeah, like I had no idea we'd talk about Stephen Fry, for example.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But I really enjoyed that conversation. So.
And was it easier for you to just not do one because you didn't have one lined up sometimes?
I felt a little bit guilty because I like trying to do an episode every week. But at the end of the day, if I'm busy, I'm busy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think we might.
I don't think we've made an episode without the cat making an appearance.
He loves making an appearance at the moment. As long as he doesn't meow, I don't care. That
just leave him there. Just leave him there.
But yeah, if you're not on YouTube, I really would. At the 1 hour and 11 minute mark right now, there is a cute cat on the sofa in front of the camera.
Just he was bored with his own little. We distracted him for an hour and a bit.
Yeah, to be fair, he's done well.
Then he was like, "No, I want attention."
Yeah, he does like attention.
I want attention.
And his name is Zulu. You have seen his brother in the past, but his brother is technically still on camera. His brother's up there.
You got him stuffed?
No, he's in that bag. That's his ashes.
In the dove bag?
Yeah, that's his ashes.
Ceremonious.
I think my mum just
do you know what? I'll give you a G's. It's a nice bag.
It is. To be fair,
it's a high quality bag.
The company, when we had him put down, bless him, the service they used, it's come in like a beautiful little casket, the ashes, and they did a paw print for us and things like that. It was really good service, to be fair.
See, we didn't do any of that because it was like, didn't want the expense. Ultimately, it was an expense
That's
we didn't
fair enough,
really
mate.
have. And
just bury him in the back garden.
Not even that.
So what did you do?
Well, we had him put down.
Oh, she just left him
there.
Oh, that's sad.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
That was Denwa Asuakoto, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was his full name, if I remember.
That's his full stretched out Christian name.
Yeah. Yeah, and they literally died within like a day of each other as
it
well.
Was so fucked up.
It was really weird.
It was so weird. I think it was... Were you the day before or the day after?
I think it was the day after, because I remember texting you being like, I'm thinking of you today, mate. And because my cat was unwell at the time, I was like, I knew what you were going through sort of thing. And then, I think literally, the next day.
I see you were literally like, you won't believe this.
We've just had him put down.
It's just like, fuck it now.
Bless him. Yeah.
But anyway, that's not where we want to end.
No. 2025
is going to be a good year.
Yeah.
More of the same, I think.
We didn't talk about the Gavin and Stacey special.
Shall we squeeze it in quickly?
Yeah,
How long have we got?
We've got about 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, Gavin and Stacey, loved it.
I loved the ending. That's I would say I felt it was a little bit long, but it's fine. I get you need to tell the story. I didn't like the fact they'd brought her back, but again, I get for the story they sort of had to.
Have you seen her clip on social media, by the way, the actress Laura Aikman, because she didn't tell her own family that she was in it?
Oh, what? So did she do a reveal video?
She filmed them watching it live, and they were like, "You bitch!"
But I do want to watch. They've done like a documentary about.
I sat and watched that last night.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was quite sweet.
You've
got to stay with it all the way to the end.
Okay. Nice.
But yeah, it's a really sweet. It was quite funny towards the end as well because they filmed the final bit of them all sitting around talking about it the night before they filmed the last scene.
Yeah.
And so they were talking, and Ruth Jones was like, do you know what? If I die now, I'll die happy, whatever. And they were like, well, if you die now, it's going to be a very different fucking end to the show. And she was like, all right. If I die the day after tomorrow.
Yeah. But no, look, I think in terms of the characters, they did them really good service. I think the performances were good as always.
Yeah.
All of them looking that little bit older, which is a bit sad. Like even Larry Lamb, you were like, oh yeah, he's starting and look, Larry Lamb's a G.
Yeah.
All of them are.
But no, I enjoyed it. I thought it could have been a bit funnier.
Yeah.
But I do think there was a good amount of humour and laughs in there for me.
Yeah.
Very heartfelt. I think all of the characters had a nice little tie-off.
Yeah, and I genuinely believe them that this is the end of it. They're never going to touch it again. And
well,
and
they
I hope
say
stick
in the little documentary, Ruth Jones was like, this has to be the end because you can't now film Smithy and Nessa's home life. She's like, you just can't.
No.
She's like, there's nothing in that.
No.
She's like, you can't film Smithy and Nessa taking out the
Yeah.
bins.
I love
Just
the fact that he was just like, yeah, we don't kiss.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, we don't do that. We've never done that.
Do that.
But that whole thing,
And
I
you were
love,
like, well, yeah, of course they don't.
I love as well in the scene where they all stand up. That the two stand up on her side, like the two people at the back on the bride's side.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, and they weren't meant to.
Oh,
They were just two extras that got caught up in the moment. But
I like
it
that,
made
though.
everyone on set laugh, so they were like, "Oh, do you know what?
Leave
Let's
it in.
keep it in."
Yeah. I like that. No, look, it was really good in general.
And one of the guy who plays the Welsh brother, Gay Jace.
Yeah.
He's talking about it, and he was like, because basically Joanna Page is Stacey.
Yeah.
From what I hear, and every time I've listened to her in a couple of podcasts and stuff, and she basically is Stacey Shipman West.
Yeah.
And because he was like, I genuinely wasn't thinking about it. He was like, I was just like enjoying the experience and stuff. He's like, and I thought I'll think about it on the last day. He was like, but every single day, Joanna Page will come to me and go like, oh my God, can you believe it's the last day? Can you believe this is the last time we'll ever be in this house? Can you believe this is the last time?
I'm wearing
and
Stacey shoes.
Bawling her eyes out, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really liked it.
I love the fact they brought Dave Coaches back and the way they did it. I thought that was
perfect.
fantastic. And I actually called it when you knew someone was upstairs. I was like, I bet it's Dave Coaches.
Do you know that was one of my favourite jokes in the show as well? When they're all sitting around and Bryn's giving it the old, you've sunk your claws into this family. Ness just,
I know
Gwen.
what you're working with.
Oh, no, it's Gwen. It's Nessa when she goes, oh, Gwen, are you doing these omelettes or what? While the whole thing is going on.
Yes, yeah.
And then that's obviously the thing that distracts them.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favourite jokes. The other one was probably the visual gag of Nessa with the vape and the cigarette. Was great, and it was so on par for her character.
Yeah. I think, who's your favourite character overall? It's really difficult.
See, there's always an argument for all of them, but I always come back to the same one. It's Bryn.
I can respect that as a choice. I can respect that.
But
I think Rob Brydon is an absolute national treasure. I think the way he portrays Bryn, the innocence in the character, all of it I love. All of it. But I think a while ago I'd have probably said Smithy. But I think genuinely now it might be Nessa. I think there's so much complexity to the character, the way Ruth Jones plays.
The thing is, the show is nothing without any of them.
Totally.
Like if you take it's an ensemble
of the
piece.
main. I think like people like maybe Jason, like he'd probably be one of the ones.
Or Dave.
But like the old lady's more important than Jason, in my opinion. I know Doris. I know she wasn't even in this one, but I watched the last Christmas special and they do a toast to her, and I think the first one she's high and drunk with a much younger man, and she's like, "I'm
even in this one,
twatted."
when they're at the hen do, and they're like, Doris loved to strip her. She used to hire him every Sunday after church.
I loved that.
Like it's so good. It's so good.
She's absolute banger.
And I was like, it is the fact that they are almost like cartoonish. Someone like Nessa is like so cartoonish, but then you get the heart and those real moments that just cut through.
She doesn't seem real.
No.
But it's so grounded.
She makes it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's credit to Ruth Jones playing it.
And I think also because Wales is such a small place and a lot of people would have never been there, you can imagine there might be someone like that in a place you've never been. And so, I think that all adds to it as well.
No, but I one of the people that keeps circling around as well to being one of my favourites is Pam.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
it's just
everyone
it's
knows
all the
Pam.
drama, Mick. I just love it.
And even on the Christmas special, the one just gone, when Mick's like, "What are you doing?" Or whatever, she's like, "I'm checking the flow of the table. It's got to flow."
And I thought her best moment was talking about living a life after Mick.
Oh,
We're
phenomenal!
going to sell the house, and me and the new guy are going to have a financial freedom me and Mick never had.
Absolutely phenomenal.
That's why he's having a fry up and I'm having granola.
Like,
Just they gave every character a moment,
and also her and Stacey were fantastic. The way they were both being like, "This isn't right. This wedding shouldn't happen. We should all say something." And as soon as Gavin's like, "You all agree with me, don't you?" And they just sit there silently.
My own my only issue with the Gavin situation is I think personally, now obviously for the story you can't do this, but if it was you or me, like, we would have that conversation long before it got to the aisle. Like, you warned me off of a woman on the first date. Do you know what I mean? I should have listened. But
do you know what I loved as well? The little touches. Gavin with his Tottenham badge over the West Ham badge during the stag do.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Because that is accurate.
Yeah.
It's how you be.
Yeah. And I think Dawn is one of the most reprehensible characters I've ever met. But at the same time, she adds something to it.
I love her.
Like, the fact she just won't leave Pete alone. The poor fucker's finally got free and she's still stalking him and shagging Chinese Alan in a car. Do you know what I mean?
Someone ordering Chinese.
She fucking did.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
But no, look, obviously, I think they ended it in a great way. I'm happy where they've left it for all the characters.
The choice of Blackbird was a great choice as well.
Yeah.
The song.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant.
Mm.
And it was actually Neil the baby.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really well done. Completely unlike Outnumbered.
And it was just a nice thing to have on Christmas Day to look forward to be like, yeah, we're going to watch this. So.
And at some point, actually, maybe next episode, I'd love to discuss with the fact that you said this doesn't include all the rewatches on iPlayer and stuff, but Gavin and Stacey got 12.3 million viewers or something.
Isn't it?
That's like numbers of yesteryear.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Wallace and Gromit got like 9.4. And you work your way down the list.
It's fucking insane.
No, everyone loves it. It's only you that doesn't.
I don't think that's true.
But
there's millions of other, but like, how many have we got in this country? 60 odd million.
But ITV, yeah, but there's not 60 million TVs, is there?
I bet you there is.
ITV, who had Coronation Street and had Helen Worth leaving the show after 50 years playing Gail Platt.
Yeah.
And they'd advertised it. It's going to be a big deal. ITV didn't even crack the top 10 viewing figures for Christmas Day. Coronation Street got beaten by The Weakest Link, got more viewers.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched Coronation Street in my life. So,
but it's got a hardcore following. EastEnders got like 4 million.
I think
Coronation Street got like 2.1.
There's 4 million people that want to watch EastEnders is baffling to me. But
a lot of people tune in just for Christmas Day.
Why?
That's mental. I don't get
why. That's just
in
a
a
waste
serial
of
that's going
everyone's
on.
time. It's just a waste. I just want to see who dies.
Do you know what's good though? No Mrs. Brown's Boys on the list, and that I think we can all agree means that the healing has begun.
I mean, in our family, we've never been a big we're like a put a film on at Christmas Day sort of family.
It's not watch TV.
Not really. No, this year it was because Gavin and Stacey was on that we watched that, but otherwise we would have probably just watched films. I would have thought. I didn't watch The King's Speech. Didn't watch anything else.
Can honestly say I've very rarely watched The King's
hand
Speech.
came over after the Doctor Who
Never
special. So I didn't have to watch that. So yeah, no, just not our cup of tea really.
Fair.
So we'd rather watch shit like Red One.
Classic BBC there.
Yeah, it's a perfectly legitimate thing to say about Gavin and Stacey. Classic BBC.
I mean, do you know what's odd as well is that it's gone on such a unique journey, going from little, we'll stick it on, middle of the week, late night slot, BBC 3, to actually this is doing really well. We'll stick it on BBC 2, and now it's getting 12 million viewers on the moment. That'll probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that goes past 20 million.
Oh, of course it will.
Once you include,
and people will rewatch it as well.
So I reckon that could top 20 million
Mm.
by the time we get to. Well, now I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's very
I think
impressive.
they should give themselves a pat on the back.
I think you son of a bitch.
Why am I a son of a bitch?
Was at the other end.
That's the only thing with the soundboard. We need like a larger amount of buttons, really.
Yeah, it would help, but
It is what it is.
Whatever.
And even the newer version of this soundboard, it's got a few more buttons, but not
enough.
No.
few more buttons, you say?
Mama like that.
Hasta la
Mama
vista.
like that.
What was that? Was that Hasta la Vista, baby?
I accidentally leant on it. I played that one,
Mama like that.
and then I accidentally leant
Hasta la vista, baby.
on
Thank you. Hasta
Well, look, that's a great way to end it. Guys, thank you for I hope you enjoyed the end of year video.
Thank you for 2024.
Yeah, thank you for 2024.
Please go and check us out on YouTube.
Yes.
Just watch an episode. Like, I don't even mean in full. Literally just click on an episode, watch 2 minutes, 2
Drop a
seconds. Like, comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, anything, and then leave. Watch whatever you actually want to watch. Watch, the 10 biggest
But you never
criminal
know, you might find
celebrities.
you
Number
enjoy
8 will
this.
surprise you. Whatever. The 10 biggest movie twists. Whatever's actually going to get you off.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, the 10 top
Whatever
porn
gets you
categories.
there.
Whatever's doing it for you.
Yeah.
What do you think the 10 top porn categories were in the UK?
I dread to think.
Look it up.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
You do the sparkly.
Right, so guys, on the screen, I'm gesturing. You can find us on Facebook at Crossing Swords, on Twitter at Swords Crossing, on Instagram and TikTok at CrossingSwords_podcast, and you can email us at CrossingSwords19@gmail.com. And Jake's about to tell us what the top 10 porn categories are.
I'll tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what the top categories were by area.
Wow.
In England. So I'll tell you what.
London,
Turkish. Top category on Pornhub. So it's in London.
Right.
I didn't even know it was a category, so there you go. I'm well off.
I'm not down with the Utes.
If you move a little bit further south into the southeast, it's POV, point of view.
Nice. Respectable.
If you go west into the southwest, into Ash's country, down there, like, glory hole.
They have a lot of, like, random toilets scattered about, I reckon.
They left a glory hole down in there. Down in Devon and Cornwall, and Somerset, and Dorset, by looks of things. If you go into the east of England, so you're going Essex up to Ipswich and East Anglia and all that kind of way. Lindsay's Way. JOI, which...
JOI?
Is... JOI porn.
Are you now Googling JOI porn?
What does JOI mean? Oh, JOI meaning. Jerk-off instructions.
Yeah, you know the videos. Come on.
Oh, I do know the videos.
Yeah.
I do know the videos.
Where nothing actually happens. It's just a woman looking at a camera.
She just tells you to wank.
Calls you a dirty pig.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently they're a bit thick in the east of England and they need help.
Wanking.
They need guidance.
Do you know what? I've seen the people there. It makes sense.
I'll just say, even though I know we're probably running over, I think this is worth it.
You got a couple of minutes left to wrap it up.
East Midlands.
Yeah.
BBW.
Nice.
They love them big.
Yeah.
West Midlands.
Yeah.
Indian.
That surprises me.
I mean, there's a big Asian community in like Leicester and places like that.
Oh, right. Okay.
But
yeah.
Would you search? That's a bit fetishization, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wales. ASMR.
Welsh are weird people.
Whisper to you. It's because they're all out in the fields and they just got their headphones in. I don't know.
They're just wanking in fields, famously.
Yorkshire and Humber.
Yeah.
MILF. I love a MILF. Northwest.
Yeah.
Not too dissimilar to the East Midlands, I feel. They've gone chubby.
Okay.
So they're not just BBWs.
Yeah, they just want a bit of
chubby.
meat on the bone.
They don't care if they're beautiful. Big, they don't. Big beautiful women, they're fine. We don't care if they're beautiful. We just want them big.
Yeah.
We just want chubsters. So they've gone chubby. Northeast, chav fetish.
That makes sense. We're obsessed with London.
And then, where do you want to go? Scotland or Northern Ireland?
Scotland.
Pegging. I
didn't expect that from the
I wouldn't
Scots.
have put that down for the Scots.
No.
That's come as a shock.
That has. What
if
about
I'm honest.
Northern Ireland? Is it subjugation porn?
Mature.
Oh, no. We
I
like a
wouldn't-
bit of nanny.
But do you know what? I think there's maybe like a bit of a repressed thing there. They got a thing for the old school teachers going on. Maybe that's where the mature... God, Christ knows where.
They like a bit of nanny.
I mean, the ones that surprised me, if I'm honest, were Indian, pegging,
Pegging definitely took me by surprise.
and
the most.
Turkish.
Pegging always takes me by surprise.
Always takes me by surprise. But you know the rule: if she yells surprise first, it's legally fine.
But guys, if there's a message I'd like to send out there in the last minute of this podcast,
Go on,
would be, let's all do some more pegging. Let's just do it. Let's just see what happens.
Peg 2025,
Maybe
baby.
that's what unifies the nation, is that we peg each other rather than fight each other.
Oh, the Scots are up for it. I know that much.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. I think we can create some bonds.
I think at the end of the day, if they ever try to break away, we can just peg them into submission.
And they love it. They'll be on board.
Get the strap on out
We've
and they'll
just
all turn around and
solved-
come back.
Tensions, and all we need to do is eat pickles and shit for the Welsh.
And we send all the old ladies over to deal with the Irish.
We're done.
We are
We've
done.
just solved the crisis in the United Kingdom.
And just as a word of warning, if you're ever in Somerset, Devon or Cornwall and you see a toilet block, just
Don't
take
go
it with
in.
hesitancy.
Don't touch the toilet roll.
Be prepared.
All right. Happy New Year, guys. See you soon. Jake, you got less than 10 seconds.
Classic BBC, that.
Bye.
Bye.